Greetings, gamers, and welcome to the 117th live stream for the Misfit Gamer Studios. I'm your host, Vortex, and this is D&D Discussions. On today's episode, we have another community creation coming from Pokeniner. We have a Ranger subclass called the Surface Sentinel. Very interesting. We were trying to talk about this last stream on what we thought this might be. I think I was way off already, just getting a small glimpse, saw the image already, and I was definitely way off. But now that I see it, it's very obvious that I should have selected this idea. So that's going to be kind of fun.
Okay.
But yeah, that's going to be for today's stream. We have a couple exciting announcements, but let me go ahead and get Kage up and running here. What's going on, my dude?
Shalom, shalom, my friends. Welcome. Excited to be here. You know, another subclass. I'm very interested because I genuinely think Rangers don't get enough love. And after having seen some of the updates that I went through with Pokeniner just before this, I think I'm gonna like this one. I just got a little bit of taste, but I think I'm gonna like this one, so I'm excited.
Well, I don't have a camera.
Oh no.
Well, entertain the people because you have a camera.
All right. Well, I guess you guys are hanging out with me for a second till we can figure this out. But yeah, I like I said, I'm excited for this. I think this is gonna be very cool. Okay, with the cam. Listen, yeah, I don't know. It's Rangers are one of those like things where I wish you could just. There's so much potential there, and I want to figure out how to mine it out, right? And that's honestly how I feel with the samurai class, which is why it's taken me a little bit on here. But when I finally do that, I don't know exactly what I want that to look like, but I am very excited because it's gonna take some work. But
it's so nice having the settings memorized. Where when I had to reset the camera, I could just sit there and click through the settings instantly. Oh man, it's been a while since I've had to go through it that fast. What is going on, everybody? Thank you for being so patient with our starting. I'm glad I was able to get the intro out. It didn't actually. I don't think it froze until after the proper intro. So
okay,
hopefully, because it was whenever I did this.
Oh,
whenever I turned this way, but that wasn't. I was way after the intro.
Yeah, I did notice that. I thought that was my computer.
No, that was 100% my camera.
Wow.
Just gave out.
Wow.
What is going on, everybody? How's it going? How many people do we got going right now?
We got like
Pokeniner, Cosmic,
right
Lepa in chat. Jeez, we have everybody here.
Welcome, my friend.
All right, well, fantastic. Nice to see everybody here. We have a very fantastic stream. I am really excited about this. So yeah, last week I think I was talking about like surface dwellers underground. I was in a mindset, obviously.
Right.
And now that I look at it, I saw the image and I'm just like, oh, surface. Yeah, okay. So we're going to be going into that. But we got some updates for y'all. Yes, so in the Discord, we got some stuff going on right now. So if you guys are ever interested in signing up for being a sub, or if you guys want to be so generous and support us by being a sub, what do you guys get? We do have a special channel in the Discord right now that is sub only. And what do you get other than just some updates and a couple, some early access to some content that we're posting? One of the things that we are doing as well is when we're setting up special streams, which we have one coming up this month, we do ask the subs to help us out with some of the ideas. So right now we do have some polls in that sub chat that we really need you guys to answer. So if you are a sub right now, or if you are going to be so generous and you want to support us, that will be an option. You can join the Discord, connect it to your Twitch account, and you will have access to that sub account and that sub channel. So yeah, once the subs take care of that, we are basically having them narrow down a couple ideas for a naming structure. We will be posting that to the main community so they kind of get a first glimpse at some of the names that we came up with. They're narrowing it down to the ones that they like, and then the community will choose on the final naming structure. And we also currently have them voting right now on a topic for this month's special stream because community was able to come clutch at the last stream,
day.
They were able, you guys were able to come through and get the extra stream that we have as the community challenge. So that is going to kind of be a thing that we're going to go with from here on out. So the community challenge has been reset. for next month. So we have a new community challenge that you guys can get.
Sweet.
If everybody in chat donates up to, I think it's 10,000 channel points or your XP together by the end of the month, we will do another extra stream. So what is that going to look like? Well, this month, because we just learned we cannot keep track of who donates what, like officially, like we can't officially keep track of that. It doesn't give me any metrics in the background. The goal was to take whoever had donated the most and give them the choice of the topic. Right. But we can't track that in the future. So it's probably going to be more of a subscriber thing where subscribers will help us narrow it down or choose the topic. And then the community will help like finalize the idea, or, you know, we're going to work into how that's going to work out as we go.
Very much so.
But we can't do it to the biggest bidder, unfortunately. But yeah, the idea is that every month we're going to have this community goal out there for you guys. If you guys want to keep having us do these extra weekend streams, that's what we're going to try to do. So right now we are working on a date. It's either going to be next weekend. It might be this coming weekend. It might be the following weekend. We're not really sure. We will post as soon as we know. It is going to be the Misfit Gamers Tavern because the subject is going to be kind of fun. We have one of two subjects that they're voting on right now, but one of the fun little add-ons that I'm going to do that was suggested that we do by our subs is to do also cocktails with the stream and with the topic.
Very excited for this.
So we are going to have this live from the Misfit Gamers Tavern. We are going to be bringing all of our equipment. So we are going to have the good microphones out there. We're not going to have the headset like I had before. And once we get all set up in there, we will do at least a 4-hour stream. That's what we're shooting for. Depends on the topic, though. It might go longer. It'll be an all-day stream, either a Saturday or Sunday. Depends on when we can both have time to do that. Sure. And the goal will be to be able to craft minimum 2 custom cocktails based off the topic.
Right.
So that's my goal, is that we'll start the topic, we'll talk about it for a little bit, and then we'll have a pause point. We'll craft a cocktail based on it, continue to talk, and then somewhere towards the end, we'll do another one.
Do the same. Okay.
So that's why it's going to take us a little bit of time. I'm hoping for not this weekend, but the weekend after. That gives us a little bit more time to plan, me to craft the cocktail and figure out how we're going to just, do it on stream, because I don't want to spend too much time trying to figure one out on stream. I want to plan it ahead of time. So that is what we are doing right now. There will be a poll to the community in the next couple weeks for what we're going to name these extra series from the Misfit Gamers Tavern.
Oh,
because I do kind of like this as an idea series, right? For special events, doing a topic focus from the tavern, but also doing drinks along with the topic, right? So that is going to be a series in and of itself, and that's what we're looking for a title right now. So
that makes a lot of sense.
That, I think, is the biggest update right now. I think everything else is just kind of we're just on not really on autopilot, but we're just cruising right now. We are still posting to all to the shorts to TikTok and YouTube, and that's just going to keep on going. We're upping it though. I am upping it. So before I was posting like once or twice a week. That's not the case anymore. We are now posting 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times a week now.
10 times a week.
So we are so starting this month, we will be posting 10 shorts a week based off of our content. And as long as we can generate 4 to 6, as long as I can get 4 to 6 clips per episode, we can maintain that pace indefinitely.
Shoot.
And as long as I still have back content, it just means that we continue to backlog content. So all of the newest stuff, I'll get like 4 to 6 clips. I'll take 2 of them, post, schedule them out, and then I take the others and hold on to them. So basically, we kind of have right now content for days.
I like it.
And I'm finding a much better process of being able to churn these out. So
I like that.
I already have I took our podcast, the Old Gods campaign, because we did post that onto YouTube now, and we have the first 6 episodes on the live channel. So it's not on the main channel, and I don't think I'll put it on the main channel. I think I'll keep it on the VODs channel because it is really rustic and old content.
I mean, it's still.
But I did get some good clips out of all of that. So what I've done is, for starting this weekend, they've already started posting.
Really?
But starting this last weekend through the rest of the year, so already scheduled through the rest of the year, Saturdays and Sundays are only the Old Gods campaign content. And I'm mainly
here for
doing
this.
that because weekends are the lowest used content, the lowest watched on TikTok.
Really?
So
I
weekends
guess
are just
people are always doing something, and they're less on their phones.
yeah,
more in
it's just the
each
less
other's
time
faces.
for it. So I'm using that because it's also the lowest quality of our content in terms of like voice quality and everything.
Sure.
So while
Sure.
while it's good, while it's still performing as well as any of the other videos, I feel like it's the lowest of our content. It also has no visual. It is just
That's fair.
audio. So I'm thinking I'm posting these either super early in the morning or super late at night on the weekends. That's where I have them scheduled, hoping to get like the going to
night
bed crowd
bingers.
because it's a dark screen. You're just scrolling through, you get a nice dark screen.
I like
Someone
that.
starts talking about D&D
like
stuff.
that.
You may just listen for a second. That's my mentality is
You're doing
for the
something else, you set your
weekends.
phone down, you just let it play.
Yeah, so that's my idea
I feel that.
for the weekend TikTok is try to focus on the super early in the morning, super late at night crowd that are barely just kind of like shifting around. When I say early in the morning, I mean like the 12 to 1 a.m. crowd or, you know, like the 9 to 10 crowd. So it's like Sundays, I'm looking at the 9 to 10 and Saturday nights, I'm looking at like the midnight to 1 a.m. You know, you're getting back from, you know, you're getting back or you're in the
I feel that.
taxi. I'm trying to think of like people that are on TikTok. What are they doing Saturday nights? If you're either out and about with friends or you're at home, you're, you know, between the, you know, 10 and midnight's probably
Yeah.
when you're going to be scrolling.
I mean, even if you're like in the car ride home
that's
from
what,
the club or
that's what I'm
something
thinking.
like that,
It's you're
just
either
scrolling
going
your
out or you're
phone.
coming back
Yeah.
around those times. So that's what I'm hoping
I feel
for.
that. I totally feel that.
So that's already been scheduled out, and then we are already scheduled out for the rest of this week. So keep that content going. In fact,
Yo, I'm stoked for that. That's gonna be cool.
we may have actually. So I'm also doing something else because we are going live on Mondays and Fridays. I'm also specifically scheduling it to about a half hour, 45 minutes into our live stream, a short posts.
Okay, and so people can find us live. That's fire.
So yeah, if you happen to be on YouTube and see the short, you'll see that the live indicator, right? If you're on TikTok, happen to go to our link tree, and then you happen to scroll over to
Yeah.
either Twitch or YouTube, you're gonna see that we're live. So I have those on there for the potential that it's actually gonna get some attention that we're live.
During that time. Yeah.
And we may even eventually go live on TikTok. I don't know. I don't know how I really want to approach that eventually.
Okay.
But
That could be
YouTube and
cool.
TikTok is good for right now.
That could be very good.
I still have something to look into. There's a plugin that I need to look into that does multi-streaming.
That's right. You were telling me about that.
It
That's
does it in a
right.
better way than what I'm currently using, and I'm thinking that will improve our quality
That could be fire.
and it will allow us to go into other platforms, such as TikTok. Like we might be able to go live in other platforms. So
Okay.
we're thinking about that. Who knows though? Who knows? Let's just,
I mean, hey,
it's fun, man. It's fun. I'm enjoying like the development though.
That's
I'm-
actually really
I'm
cool.
excited for
I like
these,
that.
these special streams. I'm really happy that you guys were able to get the extra stream last month for
Yes.
this month. I'm super excited about doing that one.
that's gonna be cool. That's gonna be cool. And I like the fact that it is gonna be the start of something new, right? You know, and I like that, you know, we're moving into those types of things, especially because we get to put these little challenges out now, and hopefully people will get into them too. So I don't know. It's very exciting. It's very cool to me, I think.
Yeah.
But
And I agree with what Pokeniner said in chat as well. Rangers are the best when they understand what their actual purpose is. Like when they really understand
like what they can actually do.
Yeah, I think Gloomstalker is probably one of the best examples of what a ranger not should be, but really shows off like this is what the potential of a
Where you
ranger was always
shine.
supposed to be. Yeah.
Yes. That's very cool. Which is why I'm very excited, because I think Pokeniner actually has put together 3 different ranger subclasses that we're eventually going to get to.
So this is the first.
This is the
This is
first,
the first of 3.
of
Okay.
potentially 3, because and there
And no affiliation, no connection between them.
no nothing that I'm aware of, unless that reveals itself in due time.
And maybe we'll find out.
Yes, very excited.
Yeah, super exciting. All right, so I'm gonna step out for one more second, and then that was it. That was kind of the big announcements. Is the special stream, the extra stream for this week, for this month, hopefully in the next 2 weeks. And then other than that, just looking out for those polls for some naming structures. But yeah, we will get started on this in just a second. Yeah, I'll be right back.
Right. Oh, so I do want to mention one thing. I have had an issue recently with making sure that some of the homebrews are fully up to date when it comes time to review. So I want to start doing a thing, and I'm gonna make a post in the Discord a little bit later, hopefully this evening. But what I'm thinking is that when you guys submit stuff for review, you guys send it into the submissions channel, just like you have been doing. But if at any point in time you do need to update something, you do need to, you know, add something new in there, whenever you're finished with that update, just tag it in the submissions channel. All you have to do is reply to your original post, let me know that something's updated. That way I can make sure that the content that we have for you guys that comes out is the most accurate that it can be. So let me know if you guys have any questions about that, but I feel like that should be the easiest way. So whenever you guys submit something, just ping it in the submissions whenever it's updated, and then I'll take care of it from there.
Excellent. Pokeniner, what was knowing the title, what was our guess at the theme? So I think last week, just hearing the title from Kage, I thought of, my first initial thought when I heard Surface was like Surface Dweller. So I was thinking something along the line of a ranger from an underground like background to where like,
right,
almost like even like a drow ranger, something that was the surface scout, right, of an underground people. Like, I don't know why. I couldn't tell you why, because again, seeing the image, my brain just goes, oh, I was dumb. That was dumb. Like, you should have thought of, like, I just don't know why I would.
I feel like they both fit. I genuinely do. That's why I think it was so good that you did that without any visuals. Just where does your mind take you in that moment? And like, it takes different people, different places. So I think that's valid.
So yeah, Surface Sentinel, and I think it's because it was Sentinel. Because when I think of Sentinel, I think of like a turret or a knight or someone who is stationary. So when you gave me the term Surface Sentinel, I think my idea was, okay, my mind went to what I think of a Sentinel is, and then I thought, well, what does that mean to be on the surface? And so I thought of like the like a ranger being like, you know, in those when they used to in the Jungle Wars, when they would be underneath like the wooden traps where they could just spring it open and then pop up from like a small tunnel. That's what I'm thinking of, like Surface Sentinel. Someone like almost, I think I even said this on stream, like a sniper. Yeah. Someone who's stationed, hidden in the, like a ranger, just hidden, stationed there, ready to defend, ready to attack. I think that's what I said, was like almost like a sniper in like a hunter's bunker or something. Yeah. I think that was where my mind was at the time. And I think it's because Sentinel threw me off. I didn't even think to go anywhere else because Sentinel just put me in the mindset of like a knight in armor or like a stationary, fortified location.
I'm not gonna lie. Every time I hear the word Sentinel, I think of Doctor Who and the Sentinel that waits. Like, that's always like the first image that comes to my mind. This dude in this old Roman armor with a spear just standing outside a box.
Yeah.
You know.
All right. So that was our first impression, but let's find out what it really was, because it had nothing to do with that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have the Surface Sentinel, a ranger subclass submitted to us by Pokeniner. Let us begin with a description. The Surface Sentinel stands as a resolute protector against the threats that lurk beneath the waters, ensuring that the dangerous forces of the underwater realms never breach the surface. Oh, that's already a different direction than I was expecting. You're not protecting the waters from the outside, you're protecting the outside from what lurks in the deep.
Interesting.
That's already a different, I like that. Okay, already that's the kind of like hook that I want, right? Throw me off my guard, because you would think most, because most times you hear of like water dwellers and they're protecting them from like, the surface creatures, they're protecting their homeland. I kind of like this is that, like, no.
There's some scary stuff down there.
That's dope. All right, cool. Steady the surface. The surface is the jail cell wall. You were the warden. Oh, almost called it the Surface Warden. Interesting. Well, let's keep that in mind. Let's pin that name and see if it feels like that should have been it.
Okay.
But the idea is that this is the you stay in the water. You stay here. You don't go. Okay.
Wait. Theoretically, didn't Godzilla come from the water?
Technically, so it's his fault.
So these people would be theoretically responsible for keeping Godzilla in.
Why not?
Okay.
Unless, oh yeah.
Bet money.
Yeah.
All right, I got you.
All right. Harnessing the might of the sea, they command the power to manipulate currents, create cunning traps, and defend with a surging resolve. Such rangers are often found amongst the trade routes or popular port cities, but there is no place or depth they won't go to defend the surface world. Again, I kind of like that mindset that, you know, they're forever bound to the sea to protect the surface.
That's wild.
That's dope.
wild.
Okay. Already going.
I'm here for it.
And Pokeniner, care to share in the chat where you were able to get the insight or the idea for this? The imagery. That's
I like this.
pretty dope.
That is kind of fire.
What is going on? Hang on a second. Too. I gotta check. Well, the answer. That's the problem.
Buttons, settings. Was for a... Is this another competition project? Oh, compilation.
Okay, there we go.
Was asked to help make an underwater adventure module. Okay, very nice.
And you were putting the treasure. Okay, so was this the provided imagery? Like, was this the provided artwork, or did you just come up with this after the fact? Because that's actually really cool. Because I do like that. You know, it's not your typical merman. Like, you know, you have the webbed hands, but you do have regular legs. So, you know, you're not dealing with like not able to breach the surface.
Mm-hmm.
So you can hopefully, like, the idea would be if something did escape, you could chase after it. Like,
Right.
Like you
and
can
I think
still
that was
continue.
lightweight implied when they were talking about there's no links they won't go.
Yeah,
to
no
protect
links,
the
no
surface.
depths. They will make sure that they will protect it. I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is just looking on Google, original document hyperlinked, and the art is cool. Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, so I do like that already. I like the idea behind this. It's definitely already hooking me in with a different, you know, approach to being a guardian. All right, so Surface Sentinel magic. You learn an additional spell when you reach certain levels in this class, as shown in the Surface Sentinel spell table. The spell counts as ranger spell for you, but it doesn't count against your known ranger spells. That is the verbiage I mentioned just the other day about one that we were looking at that didn't add spells in this manner.
Yes. And I think what class was that we were talking about? Was that a warlock?
I think it was, and I think that was the reason we came to that conclusion, is warlocks tend to approach the magic because they don't typically have limitations.
Yeah, they're the way they do their spells is very different.
Warlocks add to the spell list. That's
yes.
Right. Thank you. All right, so a couple that we're gonna get starting at 3rd level. We have create or destroy water. Okay, totally makes sense. They get access to spells not in the class at base, right? So create or destroy water, I like. Hold person. I'm already noticing though we're only getting 1 spell. More times than not, you get 2.
Yes.
So I'm just noticing.
Let me check to see if that is common for this class.
Could be that. But hold person, I think, is also a very valid spell for this. Protection from evil. You know, I'm always on the fence on this one. This one is very much up to the DM because I feel like when you talk about protection from evil, this is the same.
Evil or energy?
Oh, protection from energy. Oh, I totally misread that. Nope, my mind just...
No, because I know the one you're talking about, protection from good and evil. That is a powerful spell.
Yeah,
like depending on
debatable in the campaign that you're doing, because again, it's that whole thing of if you're playing with a DM who is of the mindset that say alignment doesn't matter, then protection from good and evil is literally like, then what is it? What is this point? Because the whole point of protection from good and evil is based on the alignment behind it, not the type of creature. Just because it's a skeleton doesn't mean it's evil.
Well, I think in that particular spell, I think it specifies certain creature types, like like demons and undead and other things.
And that's
like
why
that.
I always found it interesting. Is like,
but yes,
it shows the alignment in the creature, but it only matters in terms of like if it says it's evil, then this spell works against it. It's just
Right.
I don't like that. That's how it's been boiled down to. Is it's basically a what is it, like the characteristic, like we talked about this before, like how weapons, like how weapons have versatile or finesse, and it's like that's all it's been boiled down to, is just a trait on the detail.
Interesting.
Whenever a ranger gets a spell list, they always get one additional. Okay, so that makes so I get that. So the idea is that they're always supposed to just get one additional. That's what you were supposed to be, what you were looking up is.
Yes,
the ranger
I
doing that.
was looking at, is that standard for all of
Undead
these?
fiends are almost always evil. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Is like, they claim that they're always evil, but it's like no one uses alignment outside of, again, a trait identifier. So that's just kind of more so why I'm like, eh. But yeah, celestials tend to be the good. It's always fun to get us to play with that, though, to just bend the ideas of what is alignment.
Very much so.
But okay, so protection from energy, that was actually a good one. Control water, definitely good. And then maelstrom, I like that.
I do like that.
All right. Okay, so what do we need to know about a standard ranger before level 3?
Okay, so a standard ranger, you're to start off getting something called favored enemy. Now, granted, there have been a couple of different variations of ranger coming up, so I'm gonna go with the most recent of versions. So you get something called favored enemy, which basically you get to choose a creature type like aberration, celestial, beast, undead, whatever, and you get a lot of benefits when it comes to doing things against these types of creatures in combat, as well as like looking for them, searching them down. You're supposed to be like, hey, this is the creature that I'm really good at finding or attacking and destroying or whatever.
Gotcha.
Then you get something called favored foe, which is when you hit a creature with an attack roll, you can call on your mystical bond with nature and mark your favorite enemy for 1 minute. Is this?
Oh, that's optional. That's an optional.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. Pokeniner is saying that's optional.
Okay.
Favorite foe came with Tasha's.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, Tasha's Cauldron added so much good stuff, though.
It did add some very, very cool options.
I posted a funny short or like a in the memes channel from it was I forget which one it was, but one of the guys that we both follow. But yeah, they were talking about basically, it's like, oh, you want to play a subclass? Do you want your subclass to be good? All right, you need Tasha's Cauldron and everything. Now, do you want actually good feats for your subclass? All right, then you're gonna need Xanthars. Now, if you want to actually have good magic, do you want magic, right? You want good magic? Okay, then you need that. And it's just like, you need all of these things. And it's just that's kind of how it feels sometimes.
Sometimes lightweight, which is why I love all of these community creations that we have that expand those things into way more than just that.
Yeah.
So,
all right. So, okay. So basically at this point, you're getting you're basically deciding what is the knowledge base that you have, right?
Yes.
Like what are you going to have advantages, or what are you going to be best against? Which I think there's a community consensus that's kind of like a unused or basically, I know a lot of people have said that's like a mechanic that they don't really like see benefit of.
Yeah, it's very hard to put that into practice because you choose undead and you're fighting nothing but beasts. You know, you choose beasts and you're fighting nothing but celestials or whatever the case may be. Like, there's always something else for you to be fighting, and it feels like you never get to use your thing when it's of advantage to you. So like, unless the DM like personally bakes in that into the storyline so that there's always an element of it present, so you always feel like you have something to do with it, it can be challenging.
You know what would be a really cool, interesting mechanic for that? Do a little tangent window here. Should do a different window for tangents.
Interesting.
But you bring up an interesting point for a ranger, right? Is you get this, what is it, favorite foe? Or not favorite foe, it's favorite foe was the optional one.
A favorite enemy.
Favorite enemy.
Yeah.
So what I would like this is, I'd like you to be able to get one based off of backstory, right? You get the base one.
Sure.
As a ranger. So you write into your backstory, family was killed by wolves, I was attacked by a dog, whatever you want to talk about. Basically, something happened, you get a favorite enemy. Totally makes sense. But like, think about the idea of a ranger where you were very knowledgeable of nature, you're very knowledgeable of a certain region and all of the animals within it. And I can understand that you have an affinity for hunting one type, whether it's a predator because you're trying to protect your family or your forest. Like, hey, this type of bear is overrun, right? It's invasive. Or this type of wolf, kills livestock and we have to keep it down. I can understand a lot of reasonings why you would have a certain one that you were extra good at finding and killing. I get that. But like you said, for a cornerstone of a character build, right? For a baked in thing that it's like, not everybody gets something like that. Not everyone gets a benefit to a particular type of thing. So you would want this to be more useful. And I almost want to ask, like, could you have a feature, not a feature that you would have to add, but a rule set, an optional rule set to where you could add to that list over time? And be something like, imagine if you have like, if ever a creature type takes you to 0 with a critical hit, if you survive, that can be now on your new enemy list.
Interesting.
If you ever take down an enemy to 0 hit points with a critical, you can now add that enemy type to your list. Like, I would love this feature for rangers that you get one baked in, but imagine being able to add it in very specific circumstances.
I would even like something to the effect of like, if you got like 3 to 5 encounters in a row of the same creature type, like showing.
Or in general, why in a row? Just why not in general?
I mean, yes.
If you can count, like, I've run into this thing this many times, I have now prowess.
I would think
with
in a row might help you do it quicker because you're gaining a lot of experience.
But that would be very big on the DM.
Yeah, very much so. Very much so. And
but
so,
but the idea to grow the list, I think, is the idea that is only ever having one is the problem. Being able to get new ones onto that list, I think, would be the key to solving it.
I think that would help out tremendously.
And put a cap. Say there's only a max of 3. So that gives you 1 to start out with, and then through the rest of the campaign, something can happen and you can add it on. Maybe there's a default where by level 10, if you haven't critted, if you haven't died by a crit or crit killed something, then you can add one by level 10. But I like this idea of like the situation giving you that reason to now have prowess over that creature or that creature type.
Right. I'm not mad at that at all, for sure.
Pokeniner says, what did I miss? In the base game, Rangers are in design guardians. They choose places to guard, which understands like it's their area that they know the best in.
That was the next part.
And they learn guard against the threats in the material plane. And I think that's more of a more common one. Like, I think that's or not more common. That's definitely the more modern, like, I think, interpretation of the Ranger.
Right.
Because I've always looked at it as like, not so much the outcast, but the one that chooses to live outside of town, the one that chooses to live in the wilderness. It's, basically like the one who chooses the elven lifestyle, like the more traditional, like, elven lifestyle, kind of like, I'm going to go off, I'm going to live. I'm not traveling. I just prefer to be in nature and I prefer to live and work with that. Right. Yes. So I guess it's also just the approach of how you would want to do Ranger with that. The Susuke class. But yeah, so yeah, I just think that personally, I just wanted to go off on this little tangent.
Oh, for sure.
I think the idea of being able to add favorite enemies over time based off of unique experiences or just after so many levels, I think would fix it. I think it would make it feel less useless, and it would allow you to build the custom Ranger out of necessity and out of the campaign that you're experiencing, and not out of just kind of shooting in the dark. I hope I run into that enemy.
Right.
So,
okay.
Yeah. Okay. So we all know everything we need to. So let's move on to level 3. We get Sea Shroud. When you choose this archetype at level 3, your bond to the waters aid you in facing your foes. You gain a swimming speed equal to your walking speed and can breathe underwater. I kind of like that because, again, for some reason, especially based off the imagery, I was just like, wait, why wouldn't you already have that? I'm like, oh, but it's not a race. It's not race. Right. It's like, this is something that you have to become. So I think that right there is good, right? Equal to your walking speed, breathe underwater. Yeah. I don't see anything really wrong with that. I would say if you already have one, your swimming speed if you already have a swimming speed equal to your walking speed, I'm assuming that's how it's supposed to be read. It says if you already have one, your swimming speed increases by 10 feet. I'm assuming that means if you already have a swim speed equal to your walking speed.
Well, I think if you just have a swim speed at all. So if for whatever reason you are a creature that has a swim speed,
it just goes up by 10. Otherwise, it goes up to your walking speed if you don't have one. Gotcha.
That's what it sounds like to me.
Okay, so I would say that I don't disagree with any of this so far, but I am going to interject that I could see an alternative ruling here.
Okay.
So not saying that this is to better balance it, but an alternative balance. Instead of gaining the ability to breathe underwater, because this is a class, it's something you learn how to do. Based on your race, you can't really learn how to breathe underwater. So I would say an alternative to any DM who says that this might be too powerful is that you gain a swimming speed equal to your walking speed and can hold your breath equal to 2 times your level.
Like a number of hours
or minutes, to twice your level in minutes or hours. I would consider, instead of underwater breathing, at least at level 3.
Sure.
I would say an alternative, if you feel that this is too much, is to give yourself an increased amount of hold breath.
I would very much agree with that, because I would say that, especially with like whatever original race you are, what you're saying here is like, I am gaining like an attunement with water. I'm gaining like a relationship with it, right? And so like it helps me to, like your lung capacity, like all of that stuff. Like I feel like you could be very much benefited by this connection here. So I could definitely see that.
And Pokeniner has a good point. Swimming speed isn't as big of a deal in 5th edition. Some races also just get it and subclasses granted at first level, which is why I'm okay with the swimming speed. I don't mind the swimming speed. I just think that the underwater breathing, while not an issue, I do not have an issue with it myself. I wouldn't change it. But I could see some people being like, why can a human suddenly breathe underwater? So as an alternative, it could easily just be you can now breathe for 10 minutes equal to half your level. Right. I mean, granted, you could just say that you can magically breathe underwater.
That's fair.
But that's where it's like, for a class though, like it's hard for me because I don't really look at classes as imbuing you with magic. Like,
unless they are magic classes.
But that's usually because you're magical. So you're chasing the magic, you're not being given it. But I digress. That has nothing to do with it. It's not out of balance with underwater breathing. I just wanted to give an alternative.
For sure.
Because I saw that and I'm like,
no, I do like that mindset.
I could see you can hold your breath equal for 10 minutes or equal to 10 minutes or for 10 minutes per half your level, right? Yeah. Like rounded up. So at level 1, 10 minutes, at level 2, 10 minutes, at level 3, 15 minutes, at level 4, 20 minutes. So it's half your level for 10 minutes per half your level.
Right.
Kind of idea. So it's like at that point at level 10, that's almost an hour underwater at level 10. Like, I would be okay with that roleplay wise, because realistically, why are you don't necessarily even be living underwater at that point.
Yeah.
But I digress. Moving on. Okay, so in addition, while you were underwater, your weapon attacks ignore the penalties caused by being underwater. 100% agree with that.
Fire.
So, such as disadvantage on ranged weapon attacks, such as disadvantage on ranged weapon attack rolls, or the inability to attack at long range with a weapon. So this is interesting because while I see the point, again, it's that whole semantical aspect of, does the weapon suddenly not get affected by it, right? Like if I have a bow and an arrow underwater, even though you're better at being underwater, the bow isn't.
Well, wouldn't you say it's a lot more akin to being in tune with the water itself and like having the water like move around this weapon?
And I totally agree with that for melee. The ranged weapon part is where I'm like, if I release an arrow, that arrow is still, once I'm not touching it, that arrow is still going to do what arrow does in water. So again, this is a semantical thing. I don't think it's an unbalanced aspect. It's just when I look at that for high point, I'd probably be like, I love the idea that you no longer have penalties being underwater, but ranged Well, like ranged weapons would just be like the ranged weapon would still have to be a water-based ranged weapon. Like you can't just throw any lance under or like anything underwater. It still have to be one designed for water. Like I wouldn't let underwater creatures take a land ranged weapon underwater and just throw it normal. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with any dagger being able to be thrown underwater as easily as air. It doesn't work that way.
Yes.
Even if you can move underwater magically, it's not being magically propelled, water still has an effect. So that's how I would rule it in high point. But as a aspect of this build, I actually really like it though.
I agree.
In general,
it fits
is
with what we're trying to do here. It fits with, you know, the build. I get it. It's hard to like visualize, you know, how this actually works, but you know, it's
and Pokeniner says like the idea being the lore is that the water is aiding you because you have that relationship, so the water is going to work with you, right? It's going to help you doing that.
That's what my thought process was.
I'm totally okay with that. My approach is only because of that consistency where the world also has physics.
Yes.
And I prefer to keep those things in mind, but I know a lot of people don't. So that's why I'm not going to knock it down in terms of a balancing issue. But that might be a compatibility issue, just because I would rule it that water would have an effect on the ranged aspect, at least this early in level. And then lastly, while you are at least half submerged in water, creatures have disadvantage on wisdom or perception checks to see you. While you are fully submerged in water, you are invisible to any creature above the surface of the water.
See, this is where there was a change in verbiage, and I wanted to make sure it got updated. I was hoping this is so it wasn't invisible. It was supposed to be heavily obscured.
Okay.
Heavily obscured.
I would be fine with the heavily obscured. The half submerged, I don't know. 3/4 submerged I could see. Half submerged is still kind of hard for me to
So you're thinking waist up rather than head up?
Yeah, because I'm like, again, if I see, it's like saying that I have a hard time seeing you from the waist up, and I'm just thinking like on the beach, right? You're just like walking in the water. Like I'm thinking like if you're laying down and half of you is up, that makes sense that you're not doing that. But I'm thinking like, I think the verbiage would sound better if it's 3/4 they get disadvantage, and if you're under the water that you basically like you're
Pokeniner saying essentially they're kind of like camouflaged when they're in the water. So even like if they do have half their body out, it blends in with the water behind them. So it's kind of hard to tell.
I mean, it works with the build. I wouldn't take it away because realistically, again, that's also not something that's like so overpowered that it doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? Like the situation that
it's not like you're just saying, hey,
in,
my ankles are in the water, you can't find me.
Yeah.
You know?
So I'm okay with that. I don't think that it unbalances it. I do like the idea of like you have more of the camo, because again, I'm looking at the most extreme. You're just sitting next to, you know, in the water waist up, and someone's like, nope, didn't see anybody. Like, it's a little bit weird for me, but I know that the idea is more of you were in the water. So therefore, even again, if you're swimming and half of you is visible, you're still basically looking like a wave. So I totally get it. It does make sense. And based off of the build that we're doing, I would want that in there. Oh, snap. We get Vortex Trap.
Nice.
This is a trap for me? How dare you? How
you are trapped.
Dare you? It's only a level 3 trap though, so I don't think it can harm me. Like I think I can handle a level 3 trap. Right. It's fine. It's fine. I'm a little bit higher than level 3, so we'll see how this goes. Pokeniner, you and I may be doing some dice rolls, so I don't know. Pokeniner says this was changed as well. Are we looking at the current version, or are we looking at the old version?
I'm looking that up right now. So when it said invisible, that was something that should have been changed. It shouldn't have said invisible. It should have said heavily obscured.
Gotcha.
And that's I went and I made sure that we were looking at the most updated stuff before I came over, but apparently we were acting a little crazy today. So
the trap itself has a size limit now.
Let's see.
Testing was found a bit confusing and broken to stop any creature. Oh, as this is written. Gotcha. 1 minute under this creature unless they have action.
Okay. Yeah, this is the right. So scroll down real quick.
To
All the way to the last page. See, that's the problem. So where it says, if you scroll up, where it says wave warp, that should be on the last page.
So we're just like missing.
We're missing a little bit of content. So let me see if I can get you to the right one. I'm gonna do this real quick.
Pokeniner says that's not wave warp.
What's that? Did I say it wrong?
No, it just.
Give me 1 second.
Oh, this is the vortex trap. Wait, what?
Give me 1 second. I believe that should get you the appropriate link. I sent it to you in Discord.
Okay, let me get to the appropriate link. But yeah, it wasn't like.
Do me a favor, scroll down to the bottom real quick so I can. Yeah, there we go. Okay.
So is this correct now?
This should be correct. This should be correct.
Technical difficulties.
My apologies, my friends. All right. So, yes. So now when we read this next section, it should have all the updates in it. And if you look on the one we just read, you should see where it was invisible. It would say heavily obscured.
And while you were submerged, you have it is heavily obscured. Okay, now we have the correct one.
Yes.
Excellent. Now we are starting. Okay. So let's go. Vortex Trap level 3. You can now call upon the waters to aid in trapping your foes. As a bonus action, you can magically form a small vortex within 60 feet of you in an unoccupied 5-foot cube you can see. This vortex lasts for 1 minute and is unnoticeable to creatures unless they use an action to succeed an intelligence check against your spell save DC. They also notice it if they have a passive intelligence higher than that DC. Okay.
Which is possible.
It's interesting though that I don't know why they would choose to use an action to look for it.
Exactly. And that's kind of the point. It's like, unless somebody knows you and your power, they're not going to be looking for this. So they're not going to notice it until they get hit by it. So it's like kind of an advantage for you. Like when you cast Spike Growth and nobody's around to see you cast it, they're not going to notice it unless they specifically do an investigation check. So they easily fall into the trap.
Gotcha.
And I think that's kind of the idea.
Gotcha. That makes more sense. Okay. Let's see. So you can have a number of vortices equal to your proficiency bonus active at once, and you can't form one. And you can't form one while at your. Okay, yeah. So you just basically once you're at the max, you're done. It's a battlefield manipulator ranger. Oh, okay. So this is going to be battlefield control. Gotcha.
Okay.
So when hostile creatures step into a vortex, they take magical bludgeoning damage equal to 1d4 plus your wisdom modifier, and their movement speed is reduced to 0 until the end of their next turn as the vortex erupts around them, dissipating afterwards. Okay.
It's kind of like a landmine. When they step on it, it blows up.
Yeah. When a hostile creature willingly steps into the vortex's space, they take magical bludgeoning damage equal to 1d4 plus your wisdom modifier. If the creature is large or smaller, their movement speed is reduced to 0 until the end of their next turn as the vortex erupts around them, dissipating afterwards. I'm going to get back to that one. Also, while you were controlling at least one vortex, you can spend your bonus action to move each vortex you control up to 20 feet horizontally. We're going to get back to that one too. As you reach 11th level in this class, the damage increases to 2d4. So don't mind the damage.
Apparently something was incorrect. Something, it says copy paste. First paragraph is the next two. I'm gonna go back and look at what you sent me and make sure we're on the right page.
Oh, this part right here. Hostile creature steps into the vortex, they take magical bludgeoning damage. When a hostile creature willingly steps into the vortex's space, they take magical bludgeoning damage.
Oh, is it in there twice?
It looks like you had the original and then didn't actually overwrite the new version. So it looks like you have both of them.
Of course. Of course. Wonderful.
Gotcha. Okay, so I don't mind the damages. What I want to get back to. So we already say that when a hostile creature steps into the vortex, its speed is reduced to 0. I don't understand why it says if the creature is large or small, they're reduced to 0. Unless that's so these two. Okay, so these both are these two. Gotcha.
I don't know how both of them got in there.
Gotcha. Okay, I was literally looking at. Okay, so both of these are the problem. Okay, so we can just ignore what's highlighted. So I don't mind that damage. I don't mind. So okay, so the other thing I wanted to talk about. I don't know, because you can have as many of these equal to your proficiency bonus. The way this reads, being able to use one bonus action to control all of them seems a little much.
Now, you are just moving them. So it's not like you're... So, say you had 3 of them, and you just want to, like, move these 3 to over here, or something like that. Are we worried, like...
I'm just thinking, because, like, the idea is that when a hostile creature goes into, right? Like, I mean, it's kind of like the idea of being able to like surround a creature with them. Like if I had 6 of these, like if I get to the, the max stage, I'm just trying to look at being able to control all of them at once with one bonus action. Just seems like an imbalanced action economy. That's all. It's just being able to control that many things. I mean, I know it's about battlefield control.
Yes.
But that's a lot of battlefield control when you can have up to 6 things that you can control with a bonus action.
I get that the number seems high.
I know they're not necessarily AoE issues or like as much, like it's not like a spike growth thing.
Yeah.
But it's still just a... Is it really something that,
I would be curious how that would be abused, because I don't see you being able to do a lot with moving all of them. Like I don't see a huge advantage in being able to do that versus one at a time. Like I don't think there's anything you're going to be able to do really. I don't know. It's hard for me to think in that direction. It feels like it makes sense.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, so these are the 2 correct ones. So the hostile creature willingly steps into the vortex of space.
That's
they
correct.
take damage. So that's the correct version.
Yes, they have
it's
to
willingly.
You can't like use what I was talking about with the Eldritch Blast, where you do the pushy pulley thing.
That's what I was. So that's why I was saying this seems like an issue. If you can move all of these, I can basically just scrape 6 of these across the battlefield.
Yes, but
that was going to be my issue, is if you're dealing damage to anybody who gets near it or into it, moving so many is an issue.
Yeah, they have to intentionally do it, which is why it's good that they don't know that it's there, so that there's a chance that they'll run into it.
Gotcha.
But they have to move it themselves there, right?
Gotcha.
It's not like I can't use like Thorn Whip and just like pull them in.
Okay. So if that's the case, then they're basically just like, they're kind of useless traps, because water doesn't really have like a flat surface you have to move on, right?
Not necessarily, yeah.
Because you can just move in all directions in water.
Unless you're on the surface of the water, unless you're like doing like pirate ship battles, like.
That's true too. Okay. Yeah. If it doesn't get too much stronger, I could see that. Again, it's just when it comes to action economy, even if it seems
innocuous,
it's still can it be justified to have that much control, even if something is. That's like saying like, oh well, if I cast Mage Hand a couple times, can I have them all act on the same action? It's like, no, they all need their own individual command, right? So it would be that kind of idea where it's like, but they can't do much, and it's like, but with the right combination, they can. And so there's always just that hesitation of making sure that, as innocuous as it is the action economy equal
is it gonna turn dirty? Is it gonna, because I do believe that this ability is what they build upon the whole so
we'll see. We'll keep that in mind. We'll put a pin on it, and we'll see if it comes back to a justifiably asking that be reduced to, half. Like a number equal to half your proficiency modifier. So if you have 6 out, you can control 3 at once with one. Like, even that would make me feel better. You can control half of your active ones with one bonus action.
Interesting.
But we'll see. We'll see if if that feels like it needs to be justifiable. It's also a bonus action to make a portal, so that costs the same to control, or no, it costs a bonus action to make the vortex. So you create a vortex with a bonus action, and then you move them all with the bonus action as well. So I get that, but that's why I'm just like, we'll see if it is justifiable that it remains as a bonus action for all of them, or if we can come up with a scenario where it would seem better to limit that number. But otherwise, yeah, I like the amount of damage. I mean, 2d4 damage is never really going to be that dangerous. You know what I mean? Like, no one's ever really going to like.
It's very akin to the spike growth itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, anything major that we need to know until level 7?
You have ability score improvements. You have extra attack at 5th level.
Ooh, that's gonna be good to remember. Okay.
Your original features of favorite enemy and natural explorer get improved, as well as your deft explorer, but I think that's an optional feature. So,
gotcha. Okay, so remembering that we have an extra attack is going to be important to keep in mind for the rest of this build too.
Okay.
Because those are the things that I always want to make sure that I keep in mind when we're balancing this out, is remembering those kind of features.
Yes.
Because you could choose any ASI, you could choose any feature you want to change up the build, but knowing that you get an extra attack by now will help us understand, like,
you're going to be able to do a lot,
right?
Yes.
Okay, so let's go to Surging Shield at level 7. Your connection to the sea grants an enhanced defense. You gain resistance to cold damage. Yeah, okay. Additionally, when you or an ally take damage while standing within 5 feet of a vortex trap, you can use your reaction to have the vortex, or to have the trap erupt, interrupting the incoming blow. Okay, so kind of like a reaction, kind of like the Sentinel feat. You can basically react to defend your partner.
Interesting.
When you do so, roll the die of your trap feature. The damage taken from the attack is reduced by the number rolled plus your wisdom modifier.
So that 2d4 is how much you're reducing it by now.
So that is now a much better idea of, like, use that bonus action to move them. You can move all the vortexes next to your buddies, and now you have. So again,
now, I would ask this, the way you read this, do you think that more than one trap could react to the same attack?
Let's see. Well, let's read it again, slower. When you or an ally take damage while standing within 5 feet of a vortex trap, you can use your reaction to have the trap erupt. So no, it is a one trap.
You got to use your reaction.
Yeah.
Okay. That's good. That's good.
But being able to put traps in position next to all of your buddies for every single round is a very easy setup when one bonus action moves them all next to your buddies.
Yes.
So again, not overpowered, but just trying to keep in mind what you can do.
You do still have to cast each one of them on each turn, so it'll take you at least 3 turns.
So the setup is instantaneous, but the pull off is per round.
Sure. Yes.
So okay. But I do like that. I do like allowing these to basically erupt and put someone off their game. They're going in for the strike, and a gust of water or a wave just comes by and knocks them off. That actually sounds legit. I like that. I like the resistance to cold damage. I think that's perfect.
I think it fits at this level too.
So you can use your reaction, interrupt an incoming blow. I really do like that. Reduce by the number plus your wisdom modifier. I really like that. Yeah, I don't see anything wrong with that. And
I like that the trap dissipates after you use it.
Yeah,
so that
it's
means,
kind of like a one-time, just boom.
And then he's gonna have to recast a new trap
with
and then
a new
move
bonus
it over
action,
there.
and then that's another bonus action.
Exactly.
Yep.
So,
okay.
I like it. I like it. It gives you very much versatility of what you can do with this. So that, like, and again, that would be my other thing is you would set those right in front of, like, the melee person, right? You know that someone's going to come and attack this person and they need to get within 5 feet of them. So just put the trap within 5 feet of somebody, and then boom, I know someone's going to get hit with
So this is going to be way more about this is going to be more of your defensive support character then. We're definitely seeing more defensive support, not offensive support. Because yeah, if they have to willingly walk through this thing, it's going to be so easy to walk around it or swim around it in water, but having it just near your allies as basically like one-time little shields, that's actually pretty clever. I like that. Okay.
And it'll make people who know that they're fighting you more wary about just getting up in your face.
Yeah. Anything major till level 11?
Probably
one more ASI for sure.
Yes, definitely another ASI. Landstride, is that a standard feature? Yes, at 8th level you get something called Landstride. Starting at 8th level, moving through non-magical difficult terrain does not cost any extra movement for you.
Okay,
so
that can still work in water technically.
Yeah, so whenever there's anything difficult terrain on land or in water, it doesn't count as that for you.
Okay, excellent. I'm also really hoping that, like, we haven't seen it yet, but I would really like to see, like, you be able to, like, transport between these vortices. You know, the vortices, like being able to go into one and pop out to the other would be an interesting a feature.
I like it.
All right, so at level 11 we get Depth's Anchor. At level 11, or at 11th level, your connection to the sea enables you to anchor your foes to great depths. As a reaction, after you hit a creature with an attack, you can move a vortex trap within 20 feet of that creature to the creature within 20 feet of the creature to that creature's space, dealing the trap's damage. So this is the one time you can intentionally do it by hitting them, pulling one in, and it goes off instantly. Gotcha.
Yes.
The creature must succeed a strength saving throw against your spell's save DC. On a failure, the creature is restrained until the start of your next turn, as the vortex envelops them in a watery chain. You can use this feature any number of times equal to your wisdom modifier, minimum of 1, and you gain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. Okay. So basically this allows you to, as a reaction, when you've hit somebody, and as long as it's within 20 feet of them. Interesting. So yeah, as long as you're keeping these things near enemies or near allies,
I like the ranges on them.
Yeah, no, the ranges are fine.
Super overpowered.
Well, and it's making you just hyper aware of some of these traps are going to need to be near your allies. Some of these traps are going to be near the enemies, and you're going to need to know which ones you want where and which ones are going to be following, because those bonus actions are going to be used to keep position until you're ready to use your reaction to trigger.
Yes. So restrained, your speed becomes 0 and you can't benefit from any bonus to your speed. You have disadvantage on all attack rolls. Attack rolls against you have advantage, and you have disadvantage on dexterity saving throws.
That's actually, like, again, for a defensive support, this is actually pretty strong.
And it's
Like,
and at
it's a
11th
strong
level, I think
option.
it's progressing really well. And again, it's building upon that first level, that third level, right when you take the subclass feature. So it makes you feel like you're getting stronger as you go through. Did it say anywhere in the beginning that the damage on that feature goes up at a certain point?
Yes, at level 11, we are now doing 2d4 damage. With Depth's Anchor, you're doing 2d4 damage.
What was it before? Was it
1d4?
Okay.
Yeah, I'm liking this so far. It is giving me a good ranger vibe too. I mean, this is definitely, for the type of support that we're doing with this, it is very much in line with what you would expect a ranger to be, right? It's not something, you know, in your face, but this doesn't feel like it has to be something a million miles away. It just feels like it's that person dancing just on the outside of combat,
right?
Doing what needs to be done, taking their pop shots when they need to, but really watching the party, not the foes, right? It's the one that's looking at it from a different point of view. So I'm liking this build so far, especially thinking of it from the point of view of a water-based campaign, like the one that Cosmic's in with his Aarakocra.
Yeah.
Like, this would be such a unique class to have with that particular campaign.
Yes, that would be very cool.
All right, and then anything to 15th level?
At 14th level, you get something called Vanish, where you can use the hide action as a bonus action on your turn. Also, you can't be tracked by non-magical means unless you choose to leave a trail.
That's actually, that sounds perfect.
Ninja.
That sounds perfect for this. And honestly, like, I was wondering about doing like a hide thing. Even though you're in the water, you should be able to, like, I was wondering, like, should you have an option with this class at some point to say, like, when going against non or creatures that are not native to the water or
non-aquatic
creatures, you have advantage on hide, like, or stealth.
Right.
Basically, just in the water, they just have a hard time seeing you, period, if they are not already adapted to the water, right? And that kind of is exactly what I was looking for.
Yeah, no, I like that. I like that a lot.
All right. And then so we get Wave Warp at level 15. Your vortices can now grant you safe passage on the battlefield. Hey, that's exactly what I was hoping for.
That's right.
You can now summon 2 vortice traps instead of 1 as part of your bonus action. I like that. So you automatically get access to the teleport. Excuse me. Additionally, once per turn, when you step into one of your vortex traps, you can briefly transform it into a small portal and teleport to another one within 60 feet that you created. This teleportation also grants you a brief watery barrier. When you teleport through one of the vortices, you gain resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, slashing damage, and from non-magical attacks until the start of your next turn. Okay.
So read it one more time. How do you activate it?
All right. So you can travel through any of your vortex traps, and you can summon 2 as a bonus action now.
Okay.
Once per turn, when you step into one of your traps, you can briefly transform it. Oh no, I'm sorry. So starting here, you can now start to summon 2 at a time.
Okay.
That's step 1.
Yes.
Step 2, once per turn, you can teleport between them. So once per turn, you can step into one, teleport to another.
And so all you have to do to make that happen is just step into one.
Yes, just once per turn, step into one, and you can transport to another within 60 feet. The teleportation grants you non-magical bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage resistance.
Okay. Does it consume the traps, or do the traps stay?
It doesn't say.
Interesting.
But I'm assuming that you can use the traps to teleport. Therefore, the traps stay is what I see, what I hear.
Okay.
Which, to be honest, if you're gonna have one disappear, it's probably the one you walked into. That would be the one that disappears, maybe, or I don't know. I would not want both of them to disappear for sure.
Right. If
you're gonna have that limitation, only have one of them. But I don't think it needs to be that way.
Right. Okay.
I think the idea that you can just teleport between them is fine. So I will say it is missing just a little bit of a finale. Just a
little bit more anchor. I mean, I definitely like the teleportation. I definitely like the resistance it gives you. It's kept in line with the defensive build from start to finish.
I would say that if we don't add anything beyond this level, and I know that it was a contest, so they were probably limited, what I would either do to Wave Warp or at level 18 is Enhance Wave Warp and just change it to where you can also do it to an ally. Like you can basically, I can just move one of my as a bonus action, move my thing over to you, my trap over to you, and then just be like, boom, you're over there now. As a I need to get you out of the combat.
Would be cool.
Because if I can move these things as a bonus action and I can just literally rip you from combat, from being dead, I can just be like, nope, move, you're done, out of here. I kind of like that idea. So either as an additional to Wave Warp or as a level 18 upgrade, be able to do it to your allies.
I do kind of like that.
Because it would be, you have to choose to do it. They can't. But the idea is that you could be that like, oh, they're about to go down and the guy's about to get the final hit. No, it's my turn first. Like, it's just that idea of controlling the battlefield. I also
like the idea of, how you said, right now it sounds like they both stay there. If it did happen that one of them was used up, and I know you said you didn't want it to be both, I like the idea of being able to like trigger something where earlier we talked about if I land a hit on somebody, I suck a vortex into them and it explodes.
Mm-hmm.
I like the idea of maybe any enemy within 20 feet. Because I got to think, why am I teleporting, right? Either I'm trying to get away from somebody or I'm trying to get to somebody, right? So if I'm trying to get away from somebody, then I would love it if the one that I left sucked any enemy within 20 feet of it in and then exploded and did its damage.
Oh, I got you. Yeah.
And then if I'm trying to bring people to me, the same thing happens, except it happens at the point that I teleported to.
Also, what about another option for like level 18 ability is after you have like all of your max vortices up, because at that point you'll have like what, 6 for your potency. Yeah. You can combine them as your ability and it will suck in all the enemies and then do damage to them, and then they're all in one spot and restrained for one turn or for one round.
That would be
the level 18 version. Is you put them all together,
combining,
and then anybody within 30 feet of it will get sucked in, bludgeoning damage, and then restrained for one round.
That would be wild.
That'd be cool. But to get to Zen Sichi's question, so infinite 60-foot teleporting. So realistically, it's only once per turn. And considering how long a turn is, I can walk or swim more than 60 feet in a turn with this kind of speed, right? Like, thinking about, like, I don't think that unlimited aspect of the teleporting is too bad. Like, teleporting in general usually has its limits, but in this particular case, you can only teleport between the things that you've created.
Yes.
They only can go 60 feet from you. That's not very fast. There could be an argument made for that much teleporting being a problem, but I don't think that the limits we see are too much of an issue. I just think that because, again, I always like to see these things seen throughout through level 20. And I always like to see the last thing be kind of that, like, capstone, that look what I can do thing. Mm-hmm. Being able to just teleport yourself doesn't feel like a capstone. It does feel like I kind of want a little bit more. But with the theme of this being a defensive support, being able to take my buddies out of combat or out of a dangerous situation, I think would make me feel more like I'm at a capstone of that ability to really control the battlefield. I can't just control myself and enemies, but now I can help get my buddies out of tight spots, right? Because they're the only people that you can't handle. Like, you can at this point, you can restrain somebody and you can teleport, but you can't do anything really to your buddies. I think adding the ability to, like,
teleport them,
move them, isn't necessarily a bad idea. But that's just my 2 cents. Let's see. So add another. I don't know. That's just in testing pushed it a bit too much. Oh, gotcha. Okay, so just adding anything else really just kind of made it a little bit too much, and that's fair too. I mean that it can get too complicated, and sometimes it does get a little bit overwhelming when you're not really sure exactly what you can do or what all of the options are. So to be fair, for simplicity wise, and again, it really comes down to what is the end result, right? What is the end goal? We always like to see a capstone that is kind of flashy, but that's not necessary for every single build, right? When you have someone who is just a really good support, which is what this is, it doesn't necessarily need to have its moment to shine, because its moment to shine is the fact that y'all survived.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, we survived. I did my job.
Like, listen, we Gucci.
Okay, I missed one of these. So try to limit as many choices that the portal had in game. Already have 2 possible reaction uses by this point. So the goal of the traps is to excel as being both offensive, a staller, and a defensive buffer, which they absolutely are. I absolutely agree that the traps are actually really well designed, and they're one of the things that I like the most about it.
It would be another cool idea if you could, like, say somebody triggered your trap, right? An enemy triggered your trap. They walked into it. You could teleport the enemy, like, back or something.
Oh, okay.
Like that might be something. Like, yes, you could do it to your allies, but, like, imagine if you teleport the enemy somewhere they don't want to be, or whatever the case may be.
That could be dangerous. Yeah. that could be a little dangerous, but okay. So I really like this. This is a fantastic example of a really solid defensive support character. I think the only thing that I really, let's see. Gosh,
I'm so mad that did not. I got both of those in there.
I liked all of this. I like the traps, the actions. So yeah, moving them all as a bonus action doesn't really feel that OP anymore. Like, now that we fully see, like, the whole concept of it, it really is necessary to make sure that you have everything set up as quickly as possible. Otherwise, you would never see this to its full extent. If you had to do one at a time,
right,
you would never actually get to see this thing fully developed. So yeah, because it's going to take you a couple rounds to get all of them produced, you really need to be able to constantly be moving them or move them all at once. So I'm okay with that. The development's good. The naming structure is just really on point. I mean, it's not really like it's not a linked naming structure. They don't build to anything, but they are exactly like they're great names for what they give you. Cold damage was good. I loved the depth. Yeah, depth anchor was really good. I think the only thing I really like compatibility wise, the only thing that I really take issue with in terms of like high point compatibility is the I 100% agree with being able to ignore penalties underwater with melee. I'm just not 100% convinced that at level 3 you should have no penalties with ranged. I wouldn't mind seeing that later.
Okay.
But I just don't know if by taking this class, I don't know if that makes enough sense in high point to justify at level 3 being able to say that I can now overcome physics.
Out of curiosity, for something like a trident, right? Which I feel like would be a lightweight water-based weapon, right? Like almost like a harpoon in and of itself. Like, would you say something like that, with or without this feature, would have disadvantage?
No. There are water-based weapons that don't have penalties regardless. I'm just talking about when I read this, I read it as I could be a land-dwelling person with a land weapon.
Jump in there with level like a hand crossbow and just boom.
Like, I understand if I took a sword in there as a human, I'm going to have a hard time swinging it in the water. This class allows me to understand and work with the water. I'm okay with that. But shooting a crossbow, shooting a bow, once it leaves me, I'm no longer in control of it. And at this early of a level, I just don't know if I would justify how I'd classify what classes are. I don't know if I would quite justify that you get this innate like relationship with water to that furthest extent.
I did not know that. Pokeniner mentioned that if you have a swim speed, all melee weapon attacks ignore penalties. Period. Any apparently according to 5th edition, I'd be interested to see where that says that, but any melee attack you make with a creature who has a swim speed
automatically ignores
there's no penalties.
I'm gonna have. Can you make a note to look into that? I want to look into that because I'm not questioning whether it's real.
I'm curious where it came from.
I want to know what the history behind that is, because that sounds for me that just sounds so not right. But again, I don't know necessarily what 5th edition did to swimming, because that just, those two things, being able to swim and being able to fight underwater, just to me fundamentally don't link.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting that 5th edition made that choice. So I want to look into just when and where that happened, and maybe I mean, there's probably not enough to do a history of swimming for D&D. But I will look into that because I'm really, really curious how and why they justified that working. But Pokeniner, like, I totally understand why you went this direction. Excuse me. I don't fault you for giving it what you did. It's just that the way that I would go about, like, compatibility wise, how I would explain things in High Point, I would just put this at a higher level. At least save that for level 6. Like level 5 or 6, I could be okay with it, but basically at level 3, it kind of just became this. I just feel like it's, a little bit too much of a give me that right out the gate. You just, I decided to be this thing, and now I have this awesome relationship with water that it can assist me beyond myself. It's just a little bit beyond my comfort for making a call for that. But that's it. That's the only compatibility issue there is. Okay. And we haven't had a single balancing issue.
No, I love the balancing of this. This is fire.
So yeah, it's gonna get a 9 out of 10 because there's literally nothing I can say. Like, I mean, Pokeniner, you literally gave us something that we can't argue with. I mean, whether or not that this was done with a time limit for, whatever time limit you were given for that challenge or whatnot, it's really well done. I mean, the lore is amazing. I was immediately caught by the lore. The balancing is really well done. It is a perfect example of what a support defensive or defensive support character should be. It gives a good balance between the character slash player being able to do a lot with combat, like with the control of the battlefield, but it also gives you a lot to give to the party, right? You're not just trying to shine. You're not just trying to be the person that gives everyone a buff to do their own thing. I mean, you're putting traps out, you're giving your buddies basically a one-time bonus shield. You're able to teleport and transport around. You're able to control enemies at certain points. I mean, what else do you want in a support character? You know what I mean? Like literally, and you know what I'm really, really happy is legit that there isn't any healing added. I am so legitimately happy that you didn't try to shoehorn in, well, support means heal. Because too often we even see those offensive support characters try to shoehorn in the ability to do some sort of healing. And it's like, you don't need that to be support. You literally just need to make what the other people are doing easier. You just need to make their life easier and keep them up. But keeping them up doesn't necessarily mean keeping their HP up. Like the ability to provide them a reactionary defense is enough to be considered a very high value support.
There's this one ability that I think is borderline OP, but I love it so much and I wouldn't take it away. And it's I think it's the Grave Cleric in their subclass. They have the ability, if you're within like 30 feet of one of your allies that gets crit on, you can cancel the crit. Like, it's still a hit. They still take regular damage, but they don't take critical hit damage. And I don't know, like, that type of support is like potentially game changing. And so I love stuff like that, which is why I love stuff like this too, where you can do little things like use this to reduce the damage to somebody that it's right next to. So
Zen had a really good question. So it doesn't technically state this, Zen, but I'm assuming that Pokeniner can confirm this. But the vortex traps have to be placed in water, correct?
I would imagine so.
I'm assuming that 100% I would have assumed that, but technically it just says you can magically form a vortex within 60 feet of an unoccupied 5-foot cube. So, I mean, it says cube. I'm assuming it means cube of water, but it's a good question. The whole point is it's a good question.
So
anywhere. Oh, these do not have to be in water.
Interesting. So let me ask you this.
Good question.
Are they invisible when they're not in water? Because I understand them being practically invisible and you need that investigation check when they're in water. But if they're not in water,
I would say for simplicity's sake, it should follow the same rules. If you aren't looking for it, if you don't know, because like you've seen a dust devil, you know what a mini tornado looks like.
Sure.
There's signs, but if there's not enough dust, if it's out in a corner, you may not notice it unless you know what to look for, right? So I would say the same rules apply. Unless you know to look for it and take the action to do so, you're going to go unaware of it.
Okay.
I say that is justifiable either way. Because if you're underwater, a swirling amount of water underwater probably doesn't look that much different than a swirling amount of air unless there's something in it, right?
That's fair.
It's about as invisible unless there's an object circling around like dust or a piece of paper. Let's see. So okay, so same thought as the spell growth. In the heat of battle, you might not notice. You let a lot of things pass by. I mean, hey, you forget 1,000 things every day.
I mean, 100%.
Make sure this is one of them.
You are not wrong.
But yeah, no, great question on that one, because I didn't even think that this could have gone anywhere. And hey, Zen, don't worry about it. We all want to break stuff. So you ask those questions, make sure that we try to break things.
I'm here for breaking.
And exactly, no, Zen, good point. Nothing here, like we've been constantly thinking about out of water, but throw this, or in water, but throw this on land. And to be completely honest with you, Zen, I agree with you. None of this feels out of balance out of water. Like none of this would feel like way worse, except you are technically better out of water than you are in water. Because if you're in water, remember, it's basically a 360-degree environment. I can swim in all directions.
Right.
Your little vortice in front of me
change from
doesn't
3D to
matter.
2D. Yeah.
I can go down, I can go up, left, right, diagonal. But once we're on land and everyone has gravity and we're all there, I put a vortex in front of you, you only got left or right. And if I have
really
3 vortices on the ground all surrounding you and you can only go backwards and you don't realize it, no matter what direction you walk, you're going to walk right into it.
And it would really suck to be in a party and they all go on land and you can't do anything.
Exactly.
It would really suck for you to you get to 15th level and you can't teleport. You can't use any of the whole purpose of your class. Yeah, I definitely agree with being able to use this anywhere.
And then trying to break it with the size requirement. So making it larger, smaller also helps with being on land.
Okay.
Though, although I would want to question, it's like, okay, it only works on large or smaller, so it doesn't work on huge. But what if it has 4 legs and all 4 legs are on the ground and I took 4 of my vortices and put 1 on each leg? Would it work then, Pokeniner? What if I had 4 vortices on all 4 legs of a huge creature? Would you let me use this power to restrain them? Because that would be dope. If you could, again, if you could just like find a way, because I can understand that one has to do a large or smaller.
Sure.
But being able to like truly restrain a huge with like multiple,
dude, I think that could be kind of fire.
But that might be more of an in-game, like it would have to be situational, and in-game you'd make that ruling. That wouldn't be something you would build into
the class.
But yeah, no, I am 100% comfortable. There's nothing really bad I can say about this. It's not even a boring class. It's like it's a lot of the times supports can feel boring. This feels like you're going to be strategizing just as much, if not more, than the actual people who are doing a lot more of the damage, right? Like the strategy of making sure that you like a lot of the time the support classes, they feel like a lot of the times, okay, I'm going to say this again because I just changed the camera. A lot of the times the support classes feel like you are just hurry up and wait.
Yeah.
If you're the main healer, guess what? You are waiting for someone to get damaged and you're waiting for them to either die and the enemy walk away, or you're waiting for them to back out of combat for real quick so you can get close enough to heal them, right? A lot of the times these support characters, if you're support defensive, you're setting up traps ahead of time, or you're way in the back, trying to do things like bombs or ranged attacks, right? So many times there's a feeling that support characters have where they're just like, yep, let me know when I can be helpful. Like bards. How many memes are there of bards where they're like, I'm just gonna strum while you guys are fighting. Strum.
Inspiration.
Do good.
Inspiration.
Exactly, right? But this is one of those ones where I feel like if you're playing this, you're going to be just as busy. You're going to be the one trying to remember, wait, how many traps do I have out? Okay, I'm gonna pull, wait, do I want to pull one out or do I want to move them? Well, if that guy attacks you, do I want to block him now or do I want to wait till next turn? You know what I mean? Like you're constant, because that one bonus action is literally like I think with this class, you're probably more concerned about your usage of your bonus action than any of your others, especially since you have 2 attacks at this point. Like your regular action is probably your last concern. You're like, okay, it's my turn. What am I doing with my bonus action first? Like, I feel like that's the kind of mental focus that this has. And that's what's missing from a lot of support characters, is you're basically waiting for the moment to be useful, or you're waiting for people to tell you how to be useful. Not a lot of support characters give you full tactical control and be like, hey, you need to be paying more attention. You know what I mean? Like it's easy to know when your buddy goes down. It's not easy to know, is this the moment that you should use your reaction to block him? Because if you block him and it's not the right time, guess what? You have to spend another bonus action to bring that trap back, and then another bonus action to send it back over to him. So is this the one that you want to waste 2 rounds? Because what if by the time that you get back to him, he gets hit with the actual crit? Like that's what I like about this, is it makes you feel like you were not waiting for the team's relying on you, like you're basically at the front line of the decision making.
Out of curiosity, that takes your reaction, right?
The protective one, yes.
So you can only do it to 1 ally per turn.
Correct.
Got it. So even if you got like 4 allies stacked up,
you got to know which one to choose.
Interesting.
So if everyone's going to get hit, which would suck, you're like, what are you getting hit with? A D4 damage? I don't care. What are you getting hit with? A D10? Yeah, I'll use it on you. Let's see. Let's see. Oh yeah, so the anchor. No, I love the anchor. No, yeah, the anchor was probably, I think, my favorite of all of these. Depth's anchor. That's probably my favorite out of all the abilities. The one that actually allows them to be restrained.
Oh, yeah.
That's such a good one.
I like that a lot.
You know, I would even go one step further with that one too. Pokeniner, actually, let's bring that back up real quick. So with Depth's Anchor, even if you wanted to kind of make this a little bit stronger, I would be okay with saying that the creature must succeed on a strength saving throw against the spell save DC. On a fail, they're restrained. I would be okay with that, saying that they're just gonna stay restrained, like in that vortex, instead of until the end of your next turn. I'm okay with it just basically holding them there until they save out. Because what I would also add on is, if you do that, if you say that they can remain restrained, I would say that additionally on every subsequent failure, so after the first one, every additional failure, you can drag them deeper by 10 feet, or essentially just drag them by 10 feet.
Right, pull them 10 feet in a direction.
So if you're in the water, the idea is that you drag them deeper. So right. For every time, you're all fighting, and then they get restrained, and then they fail. So then they're stuck there. Next round they fail again, and you can be like, yeah, boom. Next round they fail, and you're like, yeah, boom. And then on land, that could be up in the air. Every time they fail, up, and then they finally save out.
Bye. That would be wild.
That would be pretty OP. But I'm just saying that if you wanted to make this a little bit more powerful, I kind of like the idea that Depth's Anchor does exactly what it sounds like and drags them down. Not just stops them, but I kind of like the idea that it would actually like allow you to move them. Because that is, I will say, probably the only thing that this doesn't allow you to do, this whole support class, is actually, as much as you get battlefield control, you don't really get to move enemies.
You have control on the battlefield, but you're not of the battlefield necessarily.
Yeah, so that could just be one of those outlets that if anybody wanted to like potentially build upon this, that would be another suggestion that I would make. But again, it doesn't need it. It's just an alternative to growing it bigger. Can you look at Zen had a good question. They're not big on playing the Ranger, but they want to know what the scaling of the DC is like, especially for strength saves. If they wonder if they could be realistically rely on it to stop a melee creature.
So let's take a gander.
Because basically this is based off of like their spell save DC versus the creature's strength. So it's a good question to see what that spell save DC.
Okay, so spell save DC is going to be your proficiency bonus plus your wisdom modifier. So I would say realistically, you could cap your wisdom modifier by at least, you can
get it to a 5. Yeah, you could get your wisdom up to, 4 or 5.
Yeah, with a couple of ASIs and a feat or two, like you can for sure get that up to a +5. And so, say at 11th level, that's when you get this, right?
Yeah.
So 11th level, you are going to have a +4 in your proficiency bonus. So that's going to be a 9.
Bam.
No, wait.
If you max out your modifier, yeah.
It's going to be 8 plus 9. So what's that? 17?
Yeah. 17.
Yeah. So that's 17. That's a pretty decent save. It's not a 20, but it's a pretty decent save, and it's only going to go up from there.
Yeah. And then you got to think too, like what's the standard like strength? It's a strength save throw. So against that. So yeah, 17's that's a pretty hefty save throw.
Most of the things that you're going to be fighting in the water are probably going to be more dexterous than they are strong, unless they're sea creatures.
That's
right?
fair. That's fair. What I mean?
Yeah. Like if they're humanoids, like down here, they're probably not going to, not necessarily always, but like I would say generally speaking,
Okay, Pokeniner says it is designed to do damage to like huge and larger creatures. It just can't slow them. So even if you combined them, you wouldn't be able to like actually slow them out. Let's see. So Ranger DC is okay. What you just said, proficiency plus wisdom plus 8. Your trap damage also increases with your wisdom modifier, which is also nice too. Oh yeah, because it's the D4 plus. Yeah. And then
it's not a
game
whole
more uses
lot.
Of anchor with wisdom. Yeah, I agree with that one too. So if you max wisdom first, then you're sacrificing your attacks. You'll want to build a druid. Wait, so if you max your wisdom first, but then you're sacrificing your attacks, you'll want to build a druidic warrior.
Interesting.
You mean like a multi? Are you talking about like a multi-class then? Like trying to do a druid ranger because you're maxing your wisdom first?
The druids are more apt to max their wisdom first because all their spell casting is tied to it.
Right.
And that's the majority of what they have. I mean, rangers, I feel like, usually use a lot of their dex and their weapon attacks, ranged weapons or finesse weapons of some sort. So, you know, having that up is going to be where a lot of your damage comes from. But I would also say that your battlefield control, like I'm okay. It's hard. I would definitely balance between the two. But I could, in playing this subclass, I can see myself maxing my wisdom by 11th level before my dex. I mean, my dex is probably still going to be hopefully at least a +3 or 4, which will be all right.
Right. Yeah.
Shillelagh, I love Shillelagh. Shillelagh is so good for melee fighters and that aren't strong. Like,
yes.
Like you get to use your wisdom for that. Like that's so clutch. I love that. But I think rangers also get Shillelagh. So if you want to max out your wisdom and just use a Shillelagh as a melee fighter, so
yeah, you
could use Shillelagh on a freaking trident, an underground trident. That would be fire. That would be fire.
Yeah. All right.
Although it might have to be like a wooden thing, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll have to figure that one out. All right. Well, I think that's all we have for today. I think that's gonna be it for tonight. Wasn't actually that terribly long of a stream this time. Rangers are druidic warrior fighting style for the Rangers require druidic fighting style. Oh, gotcha. For the Shillelagh, yeah.
Druidic fighting style.
I didn't know that was a fighting style.
Is it really?
That's news to me.
Let me look.
Oh, because Rangers don't get cantrips.
I mean, traditionally, no, but sometimes, depending on your subclass, it'll give. Actually, that's true. They would not.
Yeah.
Standard. There is a druidic warrior. This is druid spells. Yeah. That's fair.
All right.
Where is? All right.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, so if they win that way, they'd be able to go full caster on Ranger. But that leaves down most of the dex skills and defenses, right? Yeah. Oh, okay. Okay, is that gotcha? Okay, yeah. Okay. I am really happy to see a Ranger subclass that feels like a Ranger, though.
Yes.
Like I don't want to call this going back to roots, but this just feels like not like a lot of the subclasses for Ranger that I've seen, or at least when people talk about Rangers, it sounds like more they're just trying to be like, they said that they're a Ranger, but they didn't know what else to call themselves. This actually feels like a determined part of the party. Like this has a purpose and it doesn't feel like anything else. This is not like, this isn't where the fighter or the paladin or the monk should be. This is right where the Ranger belongs. So I will give you that one, Pokeniner. Just the balance alone was great, but the feeling of it actually gave this class purpose, which a lot of subclasses don't do. A lot of subclasses don't look at the purpose. They just look at what you can do.
I agree.
So I will give it a lot of props for that one. And I will say this too. It was very easy to read. Well written. I had very little time. I had very little difficulties reading through all of that. So well done. What do you think about this subclass being a Surface Sentinel or a Surface Warden? So I will say this. The lore was amazing to start out with. I will say that throughout the rest of the whole build, I completely forgot the lore behind it. And I'm not to say that they didn't
go together.
It's not that they didn't go together. There just really wasn't any direct call back to the fact that you were protecting. And that's, I think, where we probably originated our ideas of why all of this was water-based powers, is because we thought about stopping things from going to the surface. So we stopped ourselves from thinking about fighting on the surface.
That's actually fair.
So while I agree with you about the naming structure, if this were more focused on the lore, like if this were NPCs, if you knew for a fact these would be mainly NPCs, I'd call them wardens, because they would be NPCs, they'd follow the lore, that would be their job. And if you're going to do a job, I would call them wardens. If you're going to have these in-game doing this job, call them wardens. But the class should be called a sentinel, because realistically, the entire read-through had nothing to do with keeping things in the water. It really had you being a sentinel, a protector of a position or a party. And really, it made sense, right? You have about a 60-foot range of all of your vortices. You are a sentinel. You have an area that you protect, and within that area, you have full control. That is what a sentinel is.
I can be over there if I need to be. I can bring back over here. Okay.
So yeah, if I would 100%, the way I would roll that is the in-game job is the warden, but the class is the sentinel. Because it doesn't, calling this the warden wouldn't make any sense, because nothing like, you know,
it'd be interesting if you had to like came from a line of wardens,
or if you had like, it would make more sense if one of the abilities would make it to where you could stop a creature from breaching the barrier or breaching
the surface of the water.
Like literally one, like there's a certain like area that you essentially made it to where no one can enter or leave the water in like, you know, like a 60-foot area. So that water barrier, like kind of almost like ice, right? You just make it to where there's a barrier on the surface of the water that no one can enter or exit. That for like a round or two, that would be a unique power, but that would make it more warden, right? But outside of that, this power really didn't scream, I'm stopping people from leaving. It just screamed, you've entered my house now.
Like, I would say if you could teleport them, like imagine those little vortexes, anytime they like try to breach the surface in a certain area, they just get teleported back.
Yeah.
But okay, no.
But Sentinel, I think Sentinel,
I do agree with that.
I think Sentinel speaks more to the abilities than Warden does.
Okay.
I was trying to invoke that with the chains and the trap things. Anything trying to escape would be caught. Yeah, and like I said, lore wise, the Warden thing makes sense. I just don't. I don't know if a player would take that through the abilities that they have. I don't know. It would definitely just be how you envelop the campaign, right? Like,
yeah,
you know, is it going to be part of their backstory or anything else like that? But you know, I think you have the name right. I honestly think personally, changing it to Sentinel was the right move. But yeah, other than that, I think that is going to be us. It was a good almost 2-hour stream. It was a good review.
Yeah.
I think this Friday we are going to be here. Are you here this Friday?
Oh, yes. Question mark? Yes.
Tentative, yes.
Yes, I'm here.
So this Friday, I think we will go over the history of alignment, since we did the history of Druid last week.
Very cool. All right.
So I will be spending the rest of the week researching that. Keep in mind, everybody, that we do have a very special stream happening at some point this month. It's probably not going to be this coming weekend. It's probably going to be the weekend following, but we will be posting the Discord. So if you're not part of the Discord, you can join it. Link is in chat right now if you want to join our Discord. And right now, like I said before at the beginning of chat, for those that have supported us and have become subscribers, we do have a special chat channel in the Discord just for our subs. And right now, for those that are in there, we do have a couple polls out right now to discuss the naming structure of these special streams that are going to be happening in the Misfit Gamers Tavern, as well as the topic for this extra special stream. Not really extra special. It's just a special stream that is extra this month.
Extra and special.
But yeah, it is extra and special. So if you guys want to get in on that, you guys can join the Discord and get updates on that stream. And if you feel so, generous as to support us, then you will be able to join in on the pre-voting to get ahead and get some updates, as well as some, just pre-announcements of things, that pre-access and all that good stuff. What else? Oh, and on that stream, for those that didn't see it, that stream will have an extended version. We'll be going like 4 to 6 hours, and then during that stream, it's going to be in the Misfit Gamers Tavern, at least what we've developed so far of it, and we will be doing 2 specialty themed cocktails during that stream that will be made on stream for the theme that is chosen. So whatever the theme is, I will be developing a couple cocktails, and then throughout the stream, I will be making those on stream, and we'll be talking about them. So If you guys think that's really cool, join the Discord to catch that and get all of the updates from that. Otherwise, it's going to be us for the rest of the night. If you want to follow us on social media, we are basically everywhere. Our link tree is in chat, so you can get all of our socials there. If you liked what you saw here and missed anything, we do have a VODs channel on YouTube. We also have a main channel where we post shorts, and we're also on TikTok posting the same shorts as well. So, like, follow, subscribe, do what you guys do. We'll be here every Monday and Friday with D&D discussions. But otherwise, we will see you in the Discord, guys. Cheers.
Deuces, my friends.